The fourth season of Cobra Kai is out, and as much as fans were thrilled about the wait being over, there have been some things about the season that haven't sat well with most. In this video, we'll go over some major plot holes that fans noticed in Cobra Kai Season 4, plus other Cobra Kai news, so keep watching, you don't want to miss this. What was that ending? Over the course of its 4 seasons, Cobra Kai has pretty much mastered the art of delivering cliffhangers in season finales. The fourth one concluded on the big tournament itself. The competition was packed with both thrill and suspense. The competition stretches over the final 2 episodes of the season, but it's really the final 10 minutes of the entire season that delivered the hardest gut punches. When Kreese and Silver emerge victorious from the contest, the two pop open a bottle of 1998 Bollinger to celebrate Cobra Kai. But we know something's up, because Silver doesn't drink. Instead, he reveals his final act of treachery, and that's backstabbing his buddy, Kreese. "I'm shedding my weakness, Captain," says Silver, pleased with the fact that his ploy worked. After going down on Stingray so harshly that he had to get hospitalized, Silver lures him into framing Kreese as the culprit to be able to rejoin Cobra Kai. In what was possibly one of the most mortifying scenes from the season, Silver gestures playing the piano as the police arrive to arrest Kreese. But even as Kreese is being arrested, Silver reassures Kreese that he might have something up his sleeve to help both with Cobra Kai and his legal issues. So, who could it be? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. What were some plot holes that fans noticed in this season? Season 4 may have delivered one banger of a finale, but it still had a few flaws that fans couldn't help but notice. Some things were simply not addressed and left huge question marks for those watching. Here are some of the plot holes from Season 4 of Cobra Kai. How can Kreese be blamed for what he didn't do to Stingray? There was an evident absence of Stingray in the 3rd season of Cobra Kai, but fans were quick to understand that he'd in fact been arrested for one of his crimes before making a comeback in Season 4. But he's far from becoming a better person. He soon agrees to become Silver's literal punching bag, and he's beaten up horrendously as he's returned to class by Silver, and he also has to ensure that Kreese is the one who's blamed for it. So how could Kreese be arrested for something he didn't do? It didn't make sense, and it certainly didn't help that this was the very final scene of the season. There was no stopping Kreese's arrest in those final moments, so we do know that it's for certain too. Whatever it is, fans could make little sense out of this shocking turn of events. Why'd Stingray go without any accountability? Stingray is out of prison in Season 4, but he doesn't seem to have learned his lesson. He tries to become the king of coolness once again by arranging a party at his place. All his friends are in attendance, and apart from the underage drinking that takes place, he and his so-called buddies also discuss ways to get back at Miyagi-Do. But when one of his neighbors crashes the lovely get-together, Stingray goes all in and assaults him, but nothing happens. Stingray faces no accountability whatsoever despite his past criminal record. But in an even greater twist, Stingray apparently gets rid of his identity details and is referred to as John Doe. This means that without his original identity, he'd obviously face no charges for what he did to Greg, Miguel finding out about his father. Fans objected to Miguel finding out about his estranged father and not talking about it to his mother or anyone else. Miguel chose to skip the tournament, as going from being paralyzed to winning the tournament would be a little too odd. He finds out about his estranged father being in Mexico and has decided to go look for him. The 5th season should definitely address this. However, the way he went about the whole thing didn't sit well with the fans. The final moments for Miguel also seemed a little too forced and unnatural for some fans. Miguel was kissed by Moon, and all the events from the tournament suddenly didn't matter. One user on Reddit described this as being a little too Samson-esque. Kreese and Silver's story seemed cartoony to some. As explained before, Kreese takes the fall for Silver's doings in the final scenes of the season. This was a twist of the series for some, while it just fell off for others. The fact that Kreese was simply arrested without any probing into who the actual culprit was on the part of the police made the whole thing a little unnatural for the fans. The final scenes where Silver does this whole piano gesture also wasn't appreciated by some. Users on Reddit have expressed their concerns over the conclusion and how it wasn't a quality one. But now that the season has been finished by many, most are willing to look past any flaws and looking forward to a great Season 5, which will not only address the intentional questions that Season 4 left for Cobra Kai ones, but also the ones it didn't quite mean to leave. William Zabka has revealed the scenes Martin Kove had a problem with. Martin Kove and William Zabka both play major roles in the action drama show Cobra Kai. During a panel at Planet Comic-Con, the two explained that they had an issue with an episode 10 season, which they ended up rewriting themselves. Their version was shown to the writers, but apparently it wasn't that convincing enough to make any real changes, so what was the scene? Let's have a look. Now that the season is out on Netflix, we know exactly which scene they were talking about. It's the hallway scene at the All Valley Karate Tournament. It takes place just after Samantha scores her place in the girls' final, and while Johnny is attending to Miguel's tournament impacting injury. Kreese and Johnny bump into one another in the hallway, and Kreese takes the chance to tell his rival rival that he, in fact, had nothing to do with Silver's attack on the old dojo. But as Johnny pays no mind to Kreese's banter, Kreese decides to go on. He tells him that he could have joined Kreese and his actual son, to which Johnny snaps back that Kreese doesn't care about Robbie any more than he did in the past. Kreese denies this and reminds Johnny of the fact that it does matter whether they win or lose. Johnny ends their interaction by saying that Cobra Kai would die tonight. When it comes to what the two actors had a problem with, it was actually that Johnny and Kreese's interaction was too short for both the actors. Zabka explained that there weren't many moments like that one for Johnny and Kreese, and when they had this one, they wanted the two characters to really get into it. They could have said more, but courtesy of screen time protocols, the scene was kept brief. Cobra Kai Season 4 first and last episode summary. Since its release on New Year's Eve, the fourth season of Cobra Kai has been trending on Netflix. Here's a summary of the first episode. The next All Valley Karate tournament is nearing, and the dojos are preparing as much as they can to take the title home. New alliances are formed, and the most notable one is between Johnny and Daniel. The two become so amiable that it almost seems untrue. In the very first scene of the first episode, Terry Silver's phone buzzes when he's busy tickling the ivories, and it's none other than Kreese. Silver hangs up on him immediately. At Miyagi-Do, a new era has begun, and there's no need fueling old rivalries, as per Daniel at least. The tournament is only a couple of months away, and both of the senseis have come together to train their army of dojos. But from the get-go, it's clear that the two are entirely different in their art. Daniel is still focusing on wax on, wax off, where Johnny tells his mates that more offense is the best defense. Daniel teaches breathing techniques, while Johnny allows the kids to practice their leg sweeps on Hawk. Johnny's obscenities annoy Daniel, and tensions are already rising a few days into collective training. To top it off, nobody's thrilled with Hawk's return, especially Daniel, who makes Hawk storm off with his constant issues with him. At Cobra Kai, Tori can't get over a fight with Sam. Robbie makes it clear that he won't get involved in the conflict between Johnny and Kreese, which really is just a starting point for Kreese's brainwashing. Kreese visits Silver at his party and informs him of Johnny and Daniel's alliance. He asks Silver if he'd like to join his cause, which Silver refuses to do. Johnny also has a visitor, and it's none other than Daniel. Daniel apologizes to him for starting off on the wrong foot and extends an offer to officially join Miyagi-Do. Johnny turns it down and shatters any hopes of the two getting along in the long term. Well, that's all we have time for. Are there any other plot holes we missed? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to give this video